Dalavina guia dolosana angito talitakini anavarong ng Bula FM at Golden Point Resort basendo nambando ana here binaka.
Bula binaka na adang ko tevita utunggoy 90 ando talitaka wale warong ng Bula FM nambando ana sir.
Nadang ko makilesi werkraki NSB ng Bula FM nambando ana sir.
Hello nga ratu kitchen ng Gatabo ando talitaka na warong ng Bula FM nambando ana sir ngo lusu.
Bula FM number 2 NSR.
Good evening, this is FBC News. I'm Jackie Spade. Tonight, chemical tests on waterways after container carrying sodium cyanide topples over in Thailevu. Reports of diseases emerge in areas worst hit by tropical cyclone Winston. And Reserve Bank opens special loans facility for homes destroyed in cyclone-affected areas. A 10-wheeler truck carrying a hazardous chemical, sodium cyanide, is still lying in a small waterfall in Thailevu after it veered off-road yesterday. Permanent Secretary for Lands and Mineral Resources, Malakai Finau, says there's nothing to worry about, but villagers in the area are concerned. Sodium cyanide is a highly toxic element which can be fatal to humans. At around 6:30 yesterday morning, this MY Transport container truck was travelling from Suva to the Vatukola gold mine when it veered into a small waterfall near Wainivo settlement.
In the morning, we were about to have tea. We heard the truck fall off the road. We came and checked. We thought it was transporting food. It was lucky that there was one truck following from behind. We saw that the driver had blood all over his face, and the other truck took him to hospital. We were still standing here when we saw the European boss from Vatukola mines explaining the hazardous effect of the chemical. The fire brigade came and tried to lift the container out last night, but the European man said to wait till daylight, because if it leaked, it can kill everyone around here.
The waterfall runs into the Wainimbuka River, which then feeds into the entire Rewa Delta. Villagers who have little information about sodium cyanide is nonetheless worried about a toxic chemical spill.
You can see that Winston just left us. We are still trying to gather whatever we have left, and then we just received an advice regarding this. We have no food. Breadfruit and cassava are all gone, and we are relying on the food from the river, Roro and Otta, and we really don't know now where we can get our food from.
The man came and explained that the chemical fell off the truck. It will damage our rivers and streams. It will destroy all our water resources, and us and our children won't be able to bathe in waters. The same stream is used by all our cattle.
FBC News spoke with Permanent Secretary for Minerals, Malakai Finau, who says that there is no immediate danger as the container fell into a creek and not directly into the Wainimbuka River.
The container got damaged on impact because of the accident, and thankfully the rescue service of the National Fire Authority were on site last night, and they did a very good job of securing the container. It's secured at the moment. The contents of the cyanide is intact and it's not compromised at the moment. They also managed to divert the water from this waterfall, so it's dry where it is at the moment. Because the big danger if it comes into contact with water, which could cause dissolution and dissemination into the water bodies.
Initial tests by technical organizations say there's no evidence that cyanide has contaminated surrounding waters. In the meantime, until the container has been safely removed, people living along the Wainimbuka and Rewa River are to refrain from swimming, fishing, washing or any type of contact with the river. Suspected cases of typhoid, leptospirosis and dengue fever have started to emerge in places which felt the full brunt of tropical cyclone Winston. Health Minister Choneo Sumate has returned from a tour of Koro Island and the Ra province and is calling on people to be proactive. Farzana Nisha has more.
11 days after tropical cyclone Winston tore through Fiji, the first few cases of diseases are being reported.
We're getting into the next phase where our big concern is with public health. Issues to do with typhoid, leptospirosis. If there are villages that don't have toilets, and if people are defecating or passing their waste around in the rivers and things like that, it's going to lead to complications. So that is our major focus right now, all across the Ministry of Health. Make sure that people have good water supply, good sanitation, that there are toilets built.
Osamate says reports of typhoid, leptospirosis and dengue fever, which have emerged, are as yet unconfirmed and are isolated cases. He says the best way to prevent an outbreak is for people to clean up the debris and make sure that they practice proper hygiene at all times. Health Minister Chone Osamate says medical services are stretched since many health centers have been damaged or destroyed, but services continue to be provided.
The most important thing is for community to look at prevention. Hand washing, good water source, make sure that you have good toilets and all of those. Some of the things that we can do are very simple. Just wash your hands. Just wash your hands when you prepare your food, when you drink. A very simple thing. But if we get that message out to people, and I'm thankful for the messages that you've been putting out. We don't want to create undue panic, but we need to get these preventive messages.
The Health Ministry is sourcing staff from unaffected parts of Fiji to work in locations which need the most medical attention. All measures are being taken to prevent any outbreak of communicable diseases. Farzana Nisha, FBC News.
Devastation caused by tropical cyclone Winston has forced many families to leave their homes in shelter with relatives in urban centres. Savara Tumbo reports people from outer islands have been sailing into Viti Levu this week because their villages are uninhabitable.
Litiana Walau and her family arrived in Suva this morning hoping to start a new life after tragedy struck their island home in Koro Lomeviti.
I'm more concerned about diseases that are likely to emerge after tropical cyclone Winston. It's really hard for me to leave my island since I'm getting old, but my daughter forced me to come and stay with my two sons.
Walau says she and her family are never going back to Koro. There is no life left for them there, and the pain and suffering is too much to bear. Her story is symbolic of many other families struck by grief and left with nothing to piece their lives back together.
There is no comfort place to sleep. Some only have their heads lean onto something else while sleeping. Some of us did not sleep at night, especially men.
Moving to Suva and other urban centers is the only hope of leading a decent life. Walau's story is even more tragic in that she lost her son to tropical cyclone Winston. Her daughter-in-law Litiang Udake says she's lucky to have gotten out of Koro. There's no food, shelter or proper medical facilities.
There's a lot of people back on the island. Less space for us. In those kind of situation, this is likely to emerge, sometimes shortage of food and water.
Walau's other son, daughter-in-law and 5 grandchildren have also come over for good. The young children hope to start school by Monday. While this family has made it out of Koro, they are still worried about relatives who are still on the island with little food and water and a long road ahead in getting back on their feet. Walau is now living with her daughter in the Sinu. Sabira Tambua, FBC News.
Relief rations have been distributed to more than 80% of those who are in dire need after severe storms struck the nation 2 weeks ago. The National Disaster Management Office is now concentrating on areas that have been inaccessible. Ritika Pratap reports.
National Disaster Management Director Akapusitui Fangalele says they have been using helicopters to supply rations to remote areas and maritime islands which are inaccessible via roads.
We hope that in a few days to come we should be able to cover for the whole of Fiji. With the positioning of the 2 naval boats, the naval boat Canberra in the Lomeviti waters and also for the Canterbury from tomorrow, for the Lau waters, with these 2 strategic assets we should be able to cover for the rest of the areas that have not been provided with ration.
The rations supplied are to last for a month.
After 1 month, the government will have to decide, looking at the whole picture of what has happened on the ground, the damage, the need of the people in terms of the food assistance. Government will decide. At the moment, we are in the emergency declared disaster state.
The NDMO director says numbers in the evacuation centers are decreasing slowly, except for the Eastern Division, where there are 329 evacuation centers. The highest number of evacuees are in the Western Division, with 30,663 of them. Ritika Pratap, FBC News.
Still to come, ration supplies reach some of the worst hit areas in the north.
Yandra! I love listening to Gold FM at Golden Point Resort. Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Hola, my name is General from Rugby Village. I love listening to Gold FM, only the classic.
I'm Moses from Valeu. I love listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits.
My name is Marida Manako. I'm from Kandavu. I like listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits.
My name is Tilipa from Tavo Town. I love listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Welcome back. This is FBC News. Damage to the agricultural sector from Tropical Cyclone Winston is estimated at about $122 million. Agriculture Permanent Secretary Urai Waimbuta says this is a preliminary figure as assessment continues. Sainiani Mboila has more.
Agricultural officers are out in the field studying the damage caused by Tropical Cyclone Winston. It's estimated that all crops and vegetation has been lost on Vanolevu and Tabeuni.
But as part of the preliminary, the total damage sustained in the Eastern Division was around $14.2 million, and in the Central Division around $25.7 million. And also in the north, bulk of the damages was sustained because that was part of the path of the cyclone, was around $48.3 million. And in the west, in the northern division, was around $32 million. So the total damages sustained in the sector, for the non-sugar sector, that is both inclusive crops and livestock, is around $122 million.
The Agricultural Ministry has also implemented a quick recovery program to help farmers bounce back as quickly as possible.
Although some of the farming communities are still facing the difficult situation that they went through, we fully understand that some of them rebuilding their houses is far much more important than planting some of the crops that we want to put through. But we have a special team that is also moving out there in the field to try and encourage, empower, strengthen these people that was affected before we distribute some of the relief program in terms of planting material and agro inputs.
The ministry is in the process of identifying suppliers, procuring, packing and distributing seed packs containing about 8 different vegetable seeds. Assessments will be conducted in Raki-Raki tomorrow, but has been ongoing in Telebu North since last week. Sainiani Mboila, FBC News.
Prime Minister Vorenke Bainimarama continues to visit cyclone-ravaged communities, distributing food rations and other relief supplies. Bainimarama was in Nailuva village Ra yesterday speaking with people who've lost their homes and crops. The situation here is the same as many other villages around Fiji. Houses blown to the ground while others have roofs or walls missing. The Prime Minister spoke with village elders and also made time for children. These ration packs are expected to last about a month. Bainimarama was accompanied by Trade Minister Fayaz Koya. Meanwhile, relief distribution is also continuing in Ba. This government team is led by Attorney General Ayaz Said Qayyum and today visited affected communities in Soweri settlement and the Rarawai FSC quarters. They're handing out food rations and tarpaulins for those whose homes have been destroyed. Water supply has just been restored to these areas since Tropical Cyclone Winston struck. The minister also received $400,000 in roofing materials from RC Manubai for rehabilitation efforts. Meanwhile, Coca-Cola Amatil has donated $150,000 and Dominion Cables has given $50,000. The Reserve Bank of Fiji will also assist Fijians who have been affected by Cyclone Winston. Governor Barry Whiteside says they have allocated $40 million for this under their disaster rehabilitation facility. Maggie Boyle tells us more.
In the wake of Cyclone Winston, the damage bill continues to rise, and with more than 3,000 homes damaged, quick financial assistance is critical to rebuilding. Reserve Bank Governor Barry Whiteside says for the first time, the central bank has allocated money specifically for homeowners to help them get on their feet.
The homeowners who've suffered damage to their homes, a small facility up to $5,000 at 4.5%. So that is a new one, and basically we've seen that a lot of the damage has been to private housing. So this is where we have come in and are working with the banks.
According to Whiteside, this assistance could be additional to that being offered by other financial institutions.
$5,000 for this facility, $5,000 on the FNPF plus another $1,000. Yeah, there's a possibility to get a bit of money to be able to do immediate repairs. The housing facility is open for 3 months.
Under RBF's disaster rehabilitation facility, businesses are also being covered to cushion the economic aftershocks of TC Winston.
That's a $40 million facility where banks can utilize those funds and on lend to businesses up to a maximum of $500,000 at 5%. So that facility is now in place, and that's basically to help businesses recover.
With the overall impact of Winston estimated at about $1 billion so far, Whiteside says the country's economic recovery will depend on a quick rebuild, capitalizing on performing sectors like tourism. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
Distribution of emergency relief supplies continues in the Northern Division. Villagers in the Kumbalau district in Boa yesterday received the much-needed essentials as food stock has started to run out. Eleanor Tarangaivu was in Kumbalau yesterday and files this report.
Villagers in the Kumbalau district are among those that bore the brunt of tropical cyclone Winston, leaving them with little to nothing. The destruction beyond words.
Kita na korembara begitu batatan sana ba kalau ngate so bikem na be koren ba unduri to kasana bal kemame satu nga ba bewekani waterna balangai tunor itu sore ti ya argon don bubal.
For many of these villages, food is running out, and the arrival of the DISMAC distribution team is a welcome relief. Bags of flour, sugar, rice, split peas and cartons of milk, tin tuna and cooking oil, along with tents. A month's supply of ration.
Some country over into hani sa kabarom yata sa sarang abi mangi na. Bisa nanu me marro ya ration melak me hani mata mangi imeo. Ana kaila kare sin sala ba na sala ale mangi. Ba bidu na kina bi namani u na yana ko maya. Ribu kini. Bena wale woni ya don mai na ngauna. Most of
the families we met in the villages have already started putting their homes back together again as they struggle to carry on from what was left behind by tropical cyclone Winston.
That is what we want from the people in the villages, to have some plans amongst them, not just to sit and wait for government assistance. This dependency syndrome that sometimes, some of the people in the villages are fond of, just to sit there and just wait for assistance to come. But Kumbalau is different from the others. They went ahead and do their own rehabilitation themselves.
The delivery and distribution of the emergency supplies will continue in the coming weeks. Today, 2 boatloads of supplies arrive in Vunulevo, carrying emergency supplies for the rest of Boa and Sausabo. Eleanor Turangaiweo, FBC News.
Sports now, here's Jamie with the very latest.
Thank you, Jackie, and good evening. Coming up in sports. Sevens debutant Masinda Kuanga targets next dream. And battle of East and West to find the best for Fiji Mbati. Find out more after the break.
मैं उरियान खान गुरबो तालेबू के जैसे फेस्टिवल आई ग्रेट है गुरबो में उसी तरह मिर्ची एफएम Number one है करवो में.
I'm Eileen. Natoka मैं मिर्ची FM को लॉक कर दिया जाए. मिर्ची FM, it's hot.
हम नकाशी से साइमान है. हमारा वेजिटेबल जैसे नंबर 1 है वैसे मिर्ची FM नंबर 1 है.
My name is Dinesh. हम नैंडी में काम करता है स्लीपिंग जायंट जिपलाइन में और मिर्ची FM is hot. I like it.
Mirchi FM, it's hot.
As one of the 2 new caps in the Vodafone Fiji 7 squad, Masivesi Ndakuwanga is relishing the chance to prove his worth against some of the best teams in the world. Ndakuwanga achieved one of his dreams by making it into the national side and is now focused on achieving another. Talenda Dakadaka with more.
It's baptism of fire for young forward Masivesi Ndakuwanga when he runs onto Sam Boyd Stadium in Las Vegas this weekend.
My dream is to wear the wedges and to float like float and have a contract from overseas like that. My dream.
The 21-year-old comes in to cover for William Emata and Apisa Indomalelai, who are both injured, and he is eager to prove that he is made of a different mold. A man of few words, Ndakuwanga hasn't forgotten the mentorship received from his Nandi-based club, the Westfield Dragons, in particular, a former national sevens manager and renowned coach.
I think my coach is paying a lot for the help.
Captain Osea Kolinisau is a perfectionist when it comes to performance in the World Series, and he expects big things from Ndakuwanga as well as the other new cap, Joshua Vidi.
To force them stuff into the squad with a bunch of talented players, it speaks volume of the talent boys have, and it's going to be exciting for them this weekend, and I hope they bring out the best in them and show Fiji why they are selected for Fiji in the Vegas tournament.
Exciting times lie ahead for the 2 new players, but they are equally aware of what is at stake as the road to the Rio Olympics continues. Talento Takavaka, FBC Sports.
The first leg of the West 7 series in Nandi will go ahead without the Spanish 7 side. The visitors were the lone overseas team for the inaugural event that was originally scheduled for last weekend, but the Spanish have returned home and will miss the new tournament dates.
Although we cancel our tournament for the West 7s, but we kickstart out our series on a high note, doing all the cyclone relief support for our people of Fiji that were affected during the cyclone Winston.
The West 7 series will now be held on the 13th and 14th of May, with the venue yet to be finalized. Over the next 2 years, the best players from the East and West will go head-to-head to try and win a spot in the Vodafone Fiji Mbati side. This is the new pathway that the Fiji National Rugby League has introduced this year to allow more local players to put their hands up for international duties. Talenda Dakadaka reports.
Previously, the Fiji Mbati side has been made up mostly of overseas professionals, with the majority plying their trade in the NRL competition in Australia. Now FNRL has introduced the zone competition between the best players from the Eastern and Western clubs to battle each other for selection.
This idea of having a zone is to actually lift the standard of the game that's one. Lift the standard of the game from club to zone competition. Now, when we have a zone competition, that's where the best from each club are playing against each other.
The players will be selected at the end of the Vodafone Cup season from the Premier and Top 8 clubs.
One is the club competition, then we have the zone competition, then we have the state of origin competition. And then after the state of origin, then we have the Battle of the Bati, where we select the local based, and the international based players coming together to find a spot in the final Fiji Bati team.
The Vodafone Cup season will kick off next month and opens a new window of opportunity for local players wishing to stake a claim for national duties. Talento Takavaka, FBC Sports.
Vodafone Fiji football coach Frank Farina wants to secure warm-up games between the national side and local district clubs over the next 2 weeks. Farina is preparing the national side and Fiji under-23 side for upcoming internationals and says having such matches will sharpen player skills.
Well, look, most probably because the National League is not going for, I think, 1 month now. So, we'll be approaching Rewa and Suva. We have a lot of their players here already, so if we could play them, that'd be great. So, we'll be talking with the coaches in the coming days or week.
The national side is preparing for the OFC Nations Cup in May in Papua New Guinea, while the national under-23 side is preparing for the Rio Olympics in August. That's it from Sports Tonight. Good evening.
Digicel Fiji has reinstated network connectivity in the Koro Island in the Lomaiviti group. Communications in the area went down for all fixed line and mobile networks during the height of severe tropical cyclone Winston, and it was a week before service was restored. Koro Island was the worst affected by severe tropical cyclone Winston. Digicel's network is up in Nassau, Delai Sui, Nadamaki, Totua and Namoda villages in Koro. It was a fine day across Fiji with partly cloudy skies and moderate temperatures. The warmest spots were in the west, where Nandi, Lautoka and Ba hit 32, as did Lambasa in the north. Savo and Suva were at 30 and 31. We can expect tomorrow to be almost the same as today. Eastern centres such as Suva and Savo will be partly cloudy. Looking ahead to Friday, more of the same at sea, southeast winds to 25 knots and rough seas. Recapping our main stories. Tests confirmed there is no toxic chemical spill after a truck containing sodium cyanide toppled over in Tailevu yesterday. Initial reports of diseases emerged in tropical cyclone Winston affected areas, and Reserve Bank of Fiji to provide loans for Fijians to rebuild homes destroyed in cyclone. Remember, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page FBC News. And if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC_news or simply hashtag FBC News. You've been watching FBC News. I'm Jackie Spade. Good night.
I'm Sarah, I'm from Tafwa, and I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
My name is Freddy, I'm from Gamiatong. I listen to Mario on the traffic jam every afternoon.
Hi, my name is Salah, I live in Asinu. Today FM rocks.
My name is Denasa and I'm from Lutoka and I love listening to Today FM.
My name is Hulamila, I work at Golden Point Resort. I love listening to Today FM. It rocks in Raki Raki.
I'm Mary from Mandera. I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
We love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
Today's hit music on Today FM.